Hey guys, welcome to our channel. Today we are bringing you a delicious gluten-free Bakewell Tart. And if you've never heard of a Bakewell Tart before, you are in for a treat. This gorgeous tart starts with a gluten-free pastry. We fill it up with some gorgeous chia jam, raspberry, and then a delicious almond frangipani filling. And it is just amazing. So stick around and let's get into it. Now I'm going to be making this tart in a rectangle tart case, and this one has a removable base, so it just makes for very easy unmolding. But you can certainly use a round one, and you can also use one with a fixed base. But I'm starting with this, and I've got my vegan butter that I'm going to coat the sides with. If you're going to use one with a fixed base, you must ensure that it is very well greased, or else it's going to be very difficult to get out. Okay guys, I have done the sides, and then what I'm going to do is put some parchment paper on the bottom, because even though it's well greased, I really don't want this thing to stick. There is nothing worse than making a beautiful cake or tart or whatever it is and it being destroyed because you didn't quite grease it properly. All right, so that is that and ready to go. We're going to make our base in our mixer. We're putting in some almond flour, some coconut flour, an egg, coconut oil, a pinch of salt, and xanthan gum. All right, let's give that a good mix through. All right, so you will see this mixture. It's not going to clump into a ball like some other pastries. It's going to look like a biscuit, but when you put it together, you'll see it's quite moist. So that is perfect. Let's get rid of that out of the way and get our tray, and we're going to throw that in. If you've never done a tart before, there is a real trick to it. What you want to do is, because the sides are going to need more than the base, so I like to bring some extra pastry to the sides, like so, and then begin squeezing it down. What makes a really good tart case is if you spend a little bit of time with a good attention to detail. Now, what often apprentices will do, which will make the tart shell not quite as good, is that they'll leave a whole heap of pastry in the corner. Instead of making the corner sort of flush 90 degrees, you'll end up with a whole lot of biscuit in the corner, because it'll go like that. So when you're pressing it in, press right into the corner and push that extra dough back out into the center, so you don't have that, because what will happen is as you're eating it, you won't get that big biscuity chunk. It'll just be a really smooth, even texture. And there it is, and you can see how nice and even it is, and the corners are nice and straight. So what we want to do now is blind bake it. Now, blind baking means that you are, get a bit of paper, what you're doing is cooking it for a little bit before, so that the dough's not raw underneath. And what you're going to need, where are they? Here they are. What you're going to need, I recommend, is some pie weights. Now, if you don't, you can buy these, but if you don't have any pie weights, what you can use is some dried beans or chickpeas or something like that. You put some parchment paper in first and then weigh the parchment paper down with your pie weights. And this keeps it weighted and it stops the pastry from bubbling up. I'm going to throw that in my preheated oven, which is sitting at 180 or 350 Fahrenheit until it's brown. While our pastry case is baking, we're going to get stuck into making our frangipani filling, which is going to go on top of our chia jam. So I have some vegan butter. We like to use Nuttelex in our house. It's very easy to get and it tastes pretty good. And I'm going to cream our butter with our sweetener. Now we're making this particular tart a keto tart, so it has no sugar in it. So I have a sugar replacement. I'm using erythritol, which is really good. You can try xylitol, you can use stevia, you can use monk fruit. Let's give that a creaming. And that's our creamed butter and sugar. And what you're looking for is a lovely white, fluffy, creamy texture. And you'll find it does whip quite a bit. So now we're going to put in our eggs one at a time and then mix it again throughout. So you want to get it really well blended with each egg. Mixing in between with each egg is what's going to make your tart really light and fluffy. Now just a little tip for you. When you use sugar replacement, it is not uncommon to get the mixture curdling at this point. It's quite common to find that, but don't worry, it won't make any difference to the final product. It'll be still amazing. You don't generally see that curdling with regular sugar unless you mix the egg too quickly or too much at once. But I have noticed that with this sugar, it does that anyway, so completely okay. What we're going to do now is throw in our almond meal and our coconut flour. And to make this frangipani really pop, we've got some almond extract, which we're going to put in a teaspoon of. Gives it that lovely marzipan-y sort of taste. Not excessively, but just yum. And then just gently fold that through. Oh, it smells beautiful. Look how lovely and creamy and fluffy and whipped that is. That just looks fantastic. Now we're just waiting for the base. So we have our beautifully cooked tart. And now I don't need to wait for it to be completely cool. It's fine as long as you can handle it. And I'm putting on my chia raspberry jam, which I've made overnight. And there is, if you've never made it before, there's the link and you can make your own. Now, a Bakewell tart doesn't traditionally have a lot of jam on the bottom, but everybody in the house was saying that they absolutely love the tartness in contrast to the frangipani cake. So I'm putting a dab extra. You put whatever you feel to. Lovely and even, ready for our frangipani. Now, when you put this on, you want to put it on top. You don't want to mix it in with the jam. So just very gently place your mixture. And then I'm going to get a knife, because it'll be a lot easier, and just pat it into the spaces. So I'm not mixing it in with the jam. It's just sitting on top of the jam. Once we have our frangipani on, I'm going to get some slivered almonds and sprinkle them on top. Just shake any excess off. And she is good to bake. And this is the Bakewell Tart straight out of the oven. Doesn't it look amazing? Woo! We're going to let that cool down for a few minutes so we can handle it. Our tart has cooled beautifully now, so let's cut into it and see what it looks like inside. This deliciousness. You see that beautiful layer of that jam at the bottom and that almond frangipani. It's like a really moist sponge. It's such a beautiful thing to eat, and not overly sweet too. Obviously this is keto, so that's even more fantastic because there's no added sugar. Let's cut ourselves a slice and have a taste. Oh. That is such a gorgeous tart. The base is really crumbly. It's quite a short pastry for a gluten-free pastry. That's quite unusual. And then this inside is just pillowy soft with that gorgeous tarty note of the raspberry. It really is a spectacular tart. I highly recommend you give it a go. It's been a pleasure sharing this recipe with you. I hope you've enjoyed it. We would love to hear from you, so give us a little mention at the bottom, say hello, hit the like, and if you haven't already, subscribe and hit the bell, and you will continue to get our glorious recipes straight to your inbox. It's been a wonderful pleasure to share this with you. I'm looking forward to sharing this with the family. You have a good day. See you very soon. No. Get rid of that last bit. A delicious almond glitch. Welcome back to the channel, guys. A beautiful tart pastry. Why can't I get that? I'm going to throw that into my I'm going to gorgeous biscuit. It starts with a gorgeous. Maybe it doesn't. You know what? Let's just use the other ones. Stop it.